ready to podcast?
Let's podcast.
Let's do this.
Welcome. I just winked at the camera.
I love it already.
I know.
That's my favorite. I kind of need you to sign off with that now. Stay vigilant.
So, like, when Joey and I first started dating, like, really early on, he started winking at me.
Oh, my God. Stop. I'm dead.
And I was like, should I think this is creepy? But it was totally adorable.
Oh my
so
God,
I
that's
never
cute.
allowed it to be creepy. But, yeah, he, like, winked at me on, like, our second date.
Did you ever wink back?
No.
Oh, my God. I got obsessed with winking when I was in high school. I forgot to even do our intro. Hang on a second. I got to start us off by saying, welcome to All Gold Everything, a podcast for grown folks. I'm Heidi.
I'm Sandy.
All right.
We grown.
We're talking about being grown and winking.
And then apparently a whole lot of light is good for aging people.
A whole lot of light is good for you. Look angelic, so I am delighted for you. You look fantastic. Okay, so I got obsessed with winking when I was in high school. My friend Chris Lynn, I know you're out there listening. Christopher Lynn and I got obsessed with the idea of being able to wink at people we thought were like hot, but neither one of us could do it without being like, you know, so one time we went to, I don't know, Village Inn is not like a popular thing in Portland, but there in the Midwest, there are like so many Village Inns everywhere. And it used to be in the 90s, you could go to Village Inn and order a pot of coffee and it was 24-hour affair. You could just sit there all night and you could smoke inside too. So if you were like a teenager who was a smoker, you could go sit in Village Inn and smoke cigarettes.
I feel like Village Inn is the type of place that would have something that you would be like a glory hole. It seems very dirty. It just seems like bad shit goes down at the Village Inn.
Nothing healthy goes down at the Village Inn,
Right.
that's for sure. So you like go and you order a pot of coffee and you like sit there and drink coffee and smoke cigarettes. And Chris Lynn and I sat there for hours one time winking at each other, just trying to like get it down so that we could like have enough hours of winking practice under our belts that we might be able to wink at someone that we actually thought was hot without looking like there was something stuck in our eye.
Well, yeah, because I don't know how to wink this side without like lifting my cheek. It's not it's a cheat wink because I just do that. I just push my cheek up.
But you're so cute when you wink. Oh my God, that's adorable. I'm here for
It's
that.
my cheat wink. But this one goes down like the eye winks. It's just like that.
Oh, that's good.
But this is
The cheat wink has like a little thing going for it, though. It's like kind of a cutie thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're here for winks. We're here for the podcast. We're here to be on video. We're working on video this week, everyone. And this is amazing because we can't see it right now because we're not looking at the monitor.
Thank God.
Thank you, God. But the background to our podcasting is like this
Gold magma. Gold magma.
And I just need to say, I think
Fireflies.
this is as close as I will ever get to swimming in my money like Scrooge McDuck. Let's just do some backstrokes here like we are swimming in our money like Scrooge McDuck. I hope this is entertaining all of our viewers.
I hope that gold magma isn't hot.
No, it's like
Is it
it's
cool?
ice cold. It's cool like money. It's cool like cash.
What about the fireflies? Do they bite?
No, they just light the way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good things.
Then we're safe.
We're safe in the gold magma. If you're not watching us on YouTube and you're just listening to us on audio, now you're going to have to go find us on YouTube so that you can see that visual.
Because you need to see gold magma.
You do.
You need some gold magma
Gold magma.
energy.
Oh, yeah. I need you to show the camera the energy air freshener. That's pretty incredible. That's from a couple of weeks ago.
Did you see that?
The other thing I need to let you guys know is that
I could be like a Price is Right model.
you were like, especially with the... Okay, you might want to work on... Fix your face on that one for a second. That was like a very aggressive modeling move.
But when you're modeling atomic energy, you can't be all like sweet and
No,
shit. It's
you gotta
fucking atomic energy.
Get aggressive with it. Yeah.
Like,
I would like
you
to
don't
see...
wink at atomic
I was
energy.
I actually think you might wink at atomic energy.
Well, maybe you would.
I don't know. I mean,
I
just
guess
consider it.
You're grown folks. You could do whatever.
Do what you want.
Whatever you want with atomic energy. You could stick it in your glory hole.
That's true. Only if you're at a Village Inn.
If you're
See,
at a village.
did that. See how we did that?
See, I'm already breaking. I'm breaking the equipment.
That's amazing. One other thing I have not told you about since we arrived tonight is that on my way here, I got in the car, as you do. My phone is smart enough to know where I go now on the regular. So like without me even asking it, it will start to tell me how many minutes it is to get to a certain place. And so I come here every Wednesday night. And so it calls this place the Top Hat Express. Did you know that, Mark? Oh, he's nodding. He knew that.
Oh.
Did you guys used to do like a top hat thing here or something? Oh, I didn't know that. We'll have to tag them on our social media.
Because they don't have a sign.
They don't.
It's like the shadiest weed shop in Portland. I mean, I guess now we've named it. I can't slam it. It's the best weed shop in Portland.
The best. So, I don't know any weed shops in Portland.
Can we talk? Well, so one, weed dispensaries look very lovely and fancy. I kind of want to go in one just because they look so
some of them do.
Comfortable.
Yeah, some of them have like put a lot of energy into that aesthetic of like the Northwest vibe of.
Yeah, but on the topic of technology, I want to talk to you about something.
Lay it on me.
Joey and I are officially tracking each other on our iPhones.
Whoa, what does that mean?
So we use the app Find Friends, and we're sharing our locations with each other.
Oh, cool.
So he
level
will know.
Level up.
Yeah, so it's really wonderful because he'll know now when I leave Island Station Media Lab tonight, and he will have my bath drawn for me.
Whoa!
Because usually he does, but sometimes it gets
some grown
cold.
folk shit.
No, it is some grown folk shit because it's like finally at that point when actually like tracking your partner is like. I want to say a benefit, but an advantage. Like
an advantage.
It's an advantage. It's not a disadvantage.
That's sweet.
And when you get to that like place where it's like, well, there's like I don't go anywhere that like he doesn't need to know about.
Exactly.
So what's the problem?
Yeah.
And
it means that he can like have dinner prepared for you or a bath drawn or like a TV show queued up. I love this.
And I could like just like psychotically leave, where is he? What's he doing? Why is he at Puck Puck Wing? Who's he with?
Oh, what is he eating there?
What is he eating at Puck Puck
Tofu
Wing?
wings. Yum.
Yeah.
Yum,
No,
yum.
I actually, but the funny thing is we've been doing it for over a week and I've not once even had the thought to look at where he is, but I've had like my bath drawn, my dinner ready, all the things. It's really cute. And like now I'll pull up in the driveway and he'll come out the door and be like, boo.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Because
I do love that. I love the idea of having the door unlocked so I can just like walk up into the house.
And he can set it to notify him when I leave, so he doesn't have to like monitor my location.
No.
It'll just bling, Sandy's leaving Island Station Media Lab. So
that's amazing.
It's I think a grown-up use of tracking people, which I support. Track your boo.
Yeah.
You need to track your man.
I support track your boo with some like bumpers around it. I mean, there's like some ground rules. I like it. You guys are grown folks, so you can track each other all you want. Yeah, you're in a committed and loving thing. There are like some boxes you have to check before you should like be tracking your boo, right? I'm just saying like you shouldn't like go on one date with your boo and then be like, oh, I'm tracking you.
You should. No, I'm just kidding. No. Yeah, there's some people who have no business tracking anybody ever, obviously.
Agreed.
There's a lot of people who have no business tracking each other, for real.
I just want to say that tonight I'm drinking a DC, and I've been trying to kind of keep it out of the screen, and then I realized, why would I do that? My dream is for Diet Coke to see us and sponsor us because we're both drinking DC, actually.
You know what? I feel like this looks like such a great DC commercial. Mm-hmm.
We live for this stuff.
I wish I knew their motto. I'd sing it right now.
Just for the taste of it, Diet Coke.
Oh.
That's from the 90s, though. I mean, that's an old one.
But bring it back. It's
yeah,
okay.
I do what I can. Speaking of bringing it back, I watched the American Music Awards last night, which is not something I've done since I was like maybe 17.
Yeah, I would say I would concur.
So one of the things I discovered is, first of all, I'm way too fucking old to be watching the American Music Awards. I was like, everyone here is 12. Everyone is very, very young.
I don't know the difference between Lil Pump, Lil Xan, Little Triple X Tentacion.
Oh, he died.
Okay.
By the way,
rest in peace.
R.I.P. He was awarded something posthumous. Oh my God, this word every
Posthumous.
time. Posthumously last night, but I was not aware of who he was either. His mom accepted the award for him, which was kind of cute. She was nervous, but she was adorable. Anyway, so yes, I also don't know who anyone is, and they're all very young. But one person I do know is Ciara.
Ciara.
So Ciara did a thing with Missy Elliott. And I don't know, I sent an image to Mark earlier today. Mark, can you put it up on the screen for anyone who's watching us on YouTube? If you're not watching us on YouTube and you're just listening to us, you need to go find the video of this performance at the AMAs. She did a version of Level Up that was like, she was serving such Janet Jackson vibes.
She kind of looked like Janet Jackson.
She
in this photo.
did. In the photo, there it is.
She looks like Janet Jackson.
And I just was like totally living for it for a couple of reasons. First of all, she lives in the Pacific Northwest because she's married to Russell Wilson, who's the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm hoping that she's listening.
Hey, Ciara.
Hey, girl. Ciara. Hey. Secondly, she was doing this thing with her hands, this like gun movement that was...
You're like, that's what I
don't know. I've never done it before, but I was like, I want to be doing this all the time.
I feel like that's every white girl who has ever danced like a dumbass at a party. Sees that, like, oh my God, that's what I do.
No, I've never done it, but I just felt like I was feeling it. I was like, oh, she is bringing it so hard. Even Jeff like was watching it and he was like, the dance troupe is incredible. They were all like, everyone was keyed in, locked in step. It was like the movie Drumline meets the movie Bring It On meets the movie, like, I don't know, Step Up 2 or something. It was like everyone was dialed and it was glorious. So it was really the only thing worth watching at the American Music
I'm
Awards.
going to watch it. You know what I think about Ciara?
Yeah.
I've always thought, I think she's beautiful, and I'm going to say something super controversial.
Oh, say it.
I think she is more beautiful than Beyonce.
You know what? Actually, it's funny that you said that because as I was listening to this song, Level Up, it's like, level up, level up, level up, level up. It's like such a great jam, and it almost seems to me like something that Beyonce might have passed on. Like like it got written for like an R&B or for somebody in this genre, and then Beyonce was like, no thanks, and then Ciara ended up with it, and she killed it last night, and it was like. It was reminiscent of Beyonce, but I was like looking at her. She had a baby like 12 months ago or something. She's glorious. She's like an angel person. I don't even know. I agree. It's a little controversial. I hope we don't alienate any bayhivers.
Well, it's just because they're both so beautiful. It's really not fair to say more beautiful, but I find her more attractive.
She's a babe.
Like, she would be higher on my list of somebody I'd swim in the lady pond with than Beyonce.
Yeah.
But Lady Gaga, you're still number one.
Number one. There she is. Have you seen Star is Born yet?
I have. I saw it on October 5th.
Oh, my God. And?
Well, I loved it. I mean, okay. Great movie. I think you're going to get my review. All Gold listeners, you're going to get my movie review, and you will not hear this from anybody but me.
Nope.
Because
and you heard it here first.
Yeah. So I'm a huge Lady Gaga fan, so I really wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And then it was getting like these great reviews.
Yeah.
So I was like, sweet, I'm so excited. And I went to see it. So going in, I had one issue with it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one thing that I'm really trying to like work out with Lady Gaga between her and I. We're working on this.
You guys are trying to meet each other where you're at.
So the premise of the movie is she's this natural talent, but she's never been seen because of her appearance isn't something that
would be like a pop star or
essentially
famous.
It's like the industry thinks she's too ugly to be famous.
Yeah.
So cut to the first scene of Lady Gaga with about $10,000 worth of filler and Botox in her face.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just really hard to buy. So that is like my only criticism for the movie. And I do believe that Lady Gaga's also had a nose job prior to filming this movie. And one of so Barbra Streisand is the one who played her in the 1976 version.
Who refused to have a nose job.
Played this character. And so in the movie, there's this continued reference to her nose. And it's an incredibly sweet love story. But one of like the really sweet things is like this reference to her nose, except her nose is not big and she's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so that kind of rubs me the wrong way because I hate inauthenticity.
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of screams a little inauthentic. But aside from that, it's a beautiful love story. The acting is beautiful. If you can let go of being too cool for school, the music is great.
Yeah.
And like the love story takes it home.
Oh, I can't wait. I got to see it.
Yeah. Now for you and I, and for people like us, I have to say there is an element of addiction and recovery in it that makes it not such a beautiful love story for us, for those of us who know what codependents really are and what alcoholic relationships really look like. And so that kind of also takes away some of the joy. But Bradley Cooper actually built this character beautifully. And you have to just suspend, what's it called? You have to suspend
release.
Disbelief.
God. Suspend disbelief.
You have to suspend disbelief and just act like alcoholics could be sweet.
Yeah.
And
act like active alcoholics could be sweet.
Yeah, act like active alcoholics could be sweet, and codependency could be like actually
adorable
quite
or
loving.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So like I said, you're not going to get this review anywhere. So there it is for you, kids.
There it is. I love it. You heard it here first. Well, I love that you gave us the review of it, because the other things on my list that I was reminded of when I was watching the AMAs yesterday is that there are two other like kind of rock biopics coming out. One of them is called Bohemian Rhapsody. It's the story of Queen. Okay, so did you ever watch the TV show Mr. Robot?
I don't think I did.
Okay, it was on like TNT or something. Anyway, the star of that was like it was getting some acclaim for playing this like very awkward, smart guy or whatever. Anyway, he's gonna play Freddie Mercury, which is like totally like I was like, wait, what? So I was shocked about that. It looks great. All the previews look fantastic. And then the other one that they're making is I didn't know anything about this. Is they're making an Elton John biopic as well. That looks like. That actually looks like it's going to be incredible and very fun.
It's like a fantasy biopic,
yes.
though. It's going to be such a blast to watch. And I think both those previews actually played before A Star is Born. And I would go see them both. They look fun, but the Elton John one looks especially.
I thought so, too, because it is like a fantasy take on it. Or it's like, it looks like it reminded me of something else that I've already seen, but I can't remember what it was. So whatever. Anyway. Okay. So aside from... the American Music Awards. Oh, okay. I have to talk about something that is a little political for a minute.
Ruh-roh.
Okay, just take a deep breath.
Can I take 10 minutes to go meditate?
Take 10 minutes to go meditate and come back here. I need your opinion on this, though, as a physician.
Yes, you should vote.
As a medical doctor.
You should absolutely go vote.
Yes, you should go vote. We should put the word out. Everyone should go vote.
Go vote.
Get registered. Go vote. You might be...
Or you actually don't have to go anywhere to vote.
Yeah, you just send it in.
But,
Do it. Okay, so that's the first thing. The first thing is vote.
Vote.
The second thing is, now everyone knows He Who Should Not Be Named, number 45, went ahead and made this appointment to the Supreme Court.
Okay, I have to say one thing.
Yes.
I read the whole Harry Potter series, and I just believe in everything values-driven that is Harry Potter, and we have to call him by his name.
Okay.
We cannot give him that power.
Okay.
He is Trump.
Okay, so Trump got his nomination through the Supreme Court. Okay, so I just started seeing all this stuff pop up on my Facebook feed about like buying as much Plan B as you can, like getting stockpiling up on it on Amazon Prime, like going everywhere and just like stockpiling Plan B.
Yeah.
Now, I happen to have a young woman in my life and I have a bunch of nieces and I'm like, how realistic do I need to go do this? And how long is the shelf life for Plan B? I mean, can you help me out here a little bit with this?
So shelf life is going to be a couple years at best. Mm-hmm. There's supply. I mean, the supply will not be able to meet that demand. So if women are really doing that, if you try to go stockpile it, it won't be available. We need to save it for the people who need it right now, who can get it right now. For instance, Plan B is used after a rape kit is administered in the emergency room and in the children's emergency room. Children go into emergency rooms after being sexually assaulted and receive Plan B, and they need it. Yeah. So don't go stockpile it for your fucking kid's dog's boyfriend's girlfriend.
Thank you.
Right now,
okay.
Please. Thank you. And like I said, the shelf life is short, and you'll just sell out all the wholesalers, and then it'll be gone, and then they'll probably drive the price up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I wanted to ask you that, and I'm glad that I did not do that. So thank you very much.
Well, hysteria. Anything that's driven by fear and hysteria, we shouldn't off the bat react and respond and support. Mm-hmm. You know what we should be doing, and that's voting.
Voting.
You need to vote.
We need
Don't go try to buy a shit ton of Plan B. Just make sure you're registered to fucking vote.
Yeah. And then vote when it comes time to do it.
Yeah, and then fill out the ballot.
Yeah. Okay, so since we've kind of made a foray into the medical world, Sandy and I both took the opportunity to listen to a show called Dr. Death this week. Whoa,
right? Did you get through it all?
I got through all 6 episodes. It's only 6 episodes. If you're looking, it's only 40 minutes an episode. It's 6 episodes long. It is a nail biter. I do know where to start. I was going to say I don't, but I do. Are you ready?
Am I ready? Okay. I was born for this.
You were
and by the way, I have so many people listening to this now.
To Dr. Death?
Yeah.
You're responsible. You're patient 0. You're responsible for the spread of Dr. Death.
Well, at least in the hospital I work.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Okay.
The small inoculation at the hospital where I work. Yeah.
So, okay, in the first episode, how should we do the setup here? I guess the setup is like there is a doctor who is a neurosurgeon and spinal surgeon, and he happens to have a PhD and an MD, and he opens up a spinal clinic in Dallas, Texas, and then he has doctor privileges at or surgical privileges at any number of other hospitals in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or whatever. And he starts to botch surgeries, like bad. Really bad.
Real bad.
Real bad. And in the first episode, they talk about it, and I was like, oh my God, I thought he was an imposter. And actually the guy who discovers all these botched surgeries also thinks he's an imposter. So I immediately was like thinking, oh my God, if I ever get surgery, I'm going to be like, I need to see your driver's license. I need to see your social security card. I need to see your medical certificate. Like I need to see your actual like graduation certificate, blah, blah, blah. But it turns out even scarier. He's not an imposter.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Right.
He's just a lunatic. He's a psychopath who hurts people.
He's an incompetent surgeon.
Yeah.
He's an impaired surgeon.
Yeah.
And he is probably a narcissist sociopath.
Yes. Yeah. So in the end, they do talk to like doctor of psychiatry or someone who has not necessarily like talked or treated this particular doctor, but has read the case or whatever and says that. He says he's a narcissist and he is probably a sociopath, not a psychopath. But either way, it is crazy because the state of Texas like doesn't ever get wind of the fact that this doctor is just like slicing people open and like basically putting nuts and bolts in them wherever he wants to. And one of the scariest ones that I heard that really had me on the edge of my seat was what he does to his best friend.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the story?
Well, I guess he is. So first of all, I didn't. Yeah. So he convinces his best friend that he needs surgery.
Right. A lot of the people that end up getting surgery from him don't even really need it.
No, this is all elective surgeries. Mm-hmm. This is outpatient surgery center elective surgeries. I think the first ones at the first hospital were actually at a real hospital because when he wanted to do a craniotomy, they said no.
That's right. Yeah.
You don't do that here.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But so his best friend, he convinced he needed surgery, and he went in and he botched it and essentially decapitated him.
He nearly decapitated.
From the inside.
Yes. So like they were saying that there was only like one or two nerves holding his skull or holding his head to his body from the inside. It was so crazy.
Yes.
Ugh.
And then, somebody else, like, so he was puncturing arteries right and left. 2 patients died because they bled out from puncturing their arteries. Another person who had a punctured esophagus, he decided to plug that with a sponge.
And he just like mushed some stuff in there.
Mushed some sponge and then closed it up. Like even I know better than that. Like even I would be like, I'd be like, come on, I need help. Uncle, like, come in here and help me. And the scary thing was when because he did have like vascular surgeons who were there to help him, and he would tell them to leave. He would say, I don't need your help. Whenever like a vascular surgeon would come and be like, oh, well, I don't, think this is the right thing to do. He'd say, well, I can take it from here. You can leave. Yeah. And when nurses would express their concern, he would basically shut them down.
Yeah.
And that's really scary too.
Yes. So it was crazy because apparently the state of Texas this Texas Medical Board couldn't really do anything until they had an official complaint, and the complaints had to be made non-anonymously, although they are confidential, and they had to and although a bunch of people had been hurt by him, none of his patients had made actual complaints that were not anonymous to the state of Texas, to the Texas Medical Board or whatever. And eventually some other doctors got involved and just basically called the cops and were like, somebody has to stop this lunatic.
Right.
But it wasn't before. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say because the medical board wasn't acting quickly enough,
yes.
And he kept operating on people.
Yes. And and so eventually these other doctors that had been asked to leave the room or had to come clean up his messes, they eventually called the DA and were like, you have to do something about this guy, but not before he hurt a total of 38 people, and including 3 or 4 that died, or 2 or 3 or something that died. And it was really interesting because the end of the series talks a lot about how the culture of litigiousness deters hospitals. Oops, excuse me. A little too much DC. Deters hospitals from actually firing doctors like this, or used to anyway, in the in the early 2000s or 2000 I don't know, it was 2011 or something when it all went down.
Yeah. So the hospitals did fire him, but they didn't report him to the board,
right?
So no disciplinary action was taken against his license, so he could go to the next hospital and get privileges.
Right. And then that hospital would call his degree granting institution, and that guy would only be able, his referral or whatever, his, what is it, a scepter? A preceptor?
Preceptor.
His preceptor would only be able to say, basically his preceptor gave an interview and was like, I'm only allowed to disclose details of stuff that I know firsthand, and I don't have any knowledge of him firsthand hurting any patients, and all this other stuff is hearsay according to me, which has sounded incredibly frustrating. So then he would continue to get these glowing references from his preceptor at this medical school in Memphis or something.
Yeah. So I think that the really interesting part with regard to the incompetence, like two things that were really interesting is this guy was able to graduate as a neurosurgeon with performing like less than 100 surgeries in his whole training. And they say usually people who complete training for neurosurgery complete over 2,500.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But the second thing is that he was a PhD, MD, and he had a strong research background. And so I have a feeling that they passed him through school because he was such a bright shining star in the research field.
Yes.
And when he did get out of school, he didn't go into surgery. He started a research company, Stem Cells for Regenerating Discs. And I think that everybody was okay with that, okay, he's not highly trained in his surgery, but he's really going into research, and he got this huge amount of money to start this company. But because of his substance use disorder and because of his personality, he was fired from that.
Yeah.
So he had to go start doing surgery.
Neurosurgery was his fallback career, basically.
And he didn't know how to do it.
Yes. Yeah, you're exactly right.
And then when he got in deep, he didn't know how to stop and
his
ask
narcissism
for help.
stopped him from asking for help. That is actually the best way to sum it up. Thank you, because they make that point very briefly in the middle of this series, but it's like, I think it's the linchpin to the whole thing.
Right.
Like, he never necessarily, it doesn't seem like he really wanted to be a neurosurgeon. He wanted to be a researcher, and then he lost that career because of his alcohol and drug use, and then like ended up cutting people open and doing spine surgery and being like,
it's crazy.
It's wild. It was a wild ride.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the reason I like kind of bring it up that way is because so not even as a layperson, as a medically trained person.
Yeah.
So this is where the podcast could use a little bit of help. So the woman, she's a Dallas reporter who put it all together, and she did a wonderful job. But they were talking about the fear that this is induced in people and how scary it is. And they're like, people are asking, like, she's flooded with emails about like, how can we make sure that this doesn't happen to us? And she said, well, the best way is to talk to the nurses. And I'm like, well, you know what? You can't talk to the nurses because you're seeing this patient, you're seeing this doctor in their clinic, and their medical staff in the clinic is only going to support the doctor. In this case, Dr. Death, he had a fantastic website with glowing patient reviews.
Yes, he had done some paid advertising to create fake reviews and whatever.
Yeah. And so if you look at that, it was very reassuring to a lot of his patients. And you can't ask the nurses in the hospital who are in the surgeries with him. And if you have a shot at one, it's when they're rolling you into the OR. So that's, unless you happen to know people who work at the hospital, that's not a great suggestion. And it's not going to get anybody anywhere with regard to like, who is this who's operating on me? So I want to do what the podcast didn't really briefly and talk about like, so first of all, if you're going in for a non-elective or an elective surgery, what is the best we could do to check the backgrounds of our doctors?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. So
oh my God, I'm like listening
so
with
I
rapt
have
attention
to tell
right
you,
now.
there's no like solid slam dunk way, and you can only do your best, but you have to, right?
Right.
You have to do your best for yourself and for your family.
Yeah.
So if you have someone going in, there's first place to start is you can always go to your state medical board. So you can look up a doctor by name on the state medical board, and they could tell you if there has been any action against their license or if they've had to pay out in any settlement.
Okay.
The downside to this is, well, listening to Dr. Death, we know that the medical board was like really shitty.
They were bad.
Yeah. And the other downside to that is if anything is currently in litigation, it's not going to show up. But that's a good place to start to do your due diligence. And then there's also a website. I can't remember. It's like Good Doctors or something like that. But it's you could just Google a background check on doctors, and there's healthgrades.com. It's healthgrades.com.
Healthgrades.com. Okay.
And that's sort of like your Yelp for doctors.
Oh.
And it's pretty much as legitimate as you can get. So the downside of this is like when doctors piss people off, they can write about it.
I mean, that's like the problem with anything. You know, the reality is that either people who are indifferent to an experience don't write about it. It's either people who love an experience or hate an experience that get online and write a review, right?
Yeah. So but really what you're looking for is he severed my spinal cord. He severed my spinal cord. He punctured
my larynx.
If you get 5 of those, you probably don't want to go to this doctor. If you're like, he's kind of a dick,
that's different.
Take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
So that's the other thing you could do. Now for me, what I do is so I was going in for a TEE, which is a transesophageal echo, where they basically it's an ultrasound, but they put it down your throat, down your esophagus to look at your heart.
Yeah.
And I made the doctor pinky promise me that he would not perf my esophagus. So one, make them pinky promise
That's
that they're not going to do some fucked up shit to you.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, when you're going in and talking to that doctor, you better ask them what their outcomes of that procedure are.
What are the outcomes? Yes.
Or what is your outcome data? Now, they can lie. They can make shit up. They can not be prepared to answer. And those are all obviously things that can happen, but you can also maybe get some good information from them.
Yeah.
And maybe you could, if you hear anything when you ask them that question that makes you turn your stomach, you don't have to go under the knife with that person.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, the last thing I want to say to like wrap this serious part up is, if you have any question at all, get a second opinion.
Yeah.
Second opinions are real. They happen. You
Smart.
can do it. And same thing. You can ask this doctor, what do you think of this doctor? I'm going to get a second opinion to. And you could ask this doctor the same question. Now, doctors aren't going to talk shit on other doctors unless they think you're in danger. Then they're going to say, one, I don't think you need this procedure. And two, I think you really, really should reconsider.
Right.
If they think you're in danger. So if one of these patients who was going to said, hey, Dr. Henderson, should I go see this Dr. Death? Dr. Dench, who's the Dr. Death. And Dr. Henderson knows that there's some shady shit going on with that doctor. He's going to say, well, I don't know that you necessarily need that procedure and you might reconsider.
Yeah. And that's like code for do not do it with this doctor.
Yeah. So you can get, so there's no sure shot way, but you can get some good cues.
Yeah.
So basically ask for outcomes, get a second opinion.
Health grades and healthgrades.com.
Yeah. And then make them pinky promise.
And then pinky promise.
Pinky promises, friends.
Well, I need to know that stuff because I really feel like I am one of those people that is like, I'm a quick fixer. I've always wanted to have quick fixes. Now, that seems strange because in my life, I'm actually really willing to in my actual life, I'm willing to like put some work in, like wait for some outcomes. But in my brain, I'm always like, oh my God. Like I always feel like, if I ever got injured, like I have a shoulder injury, right? This is a great example. I have an old shoulder injury from when I used to play rugby. Okay. And so I'm always like, I had never until even 2 years ago seen a PT about it. But it was always excruciating pain. I was always in excruciating pain when I was sleeping, actually. And so I was just like, you know what? I shouldn't even bother with PT. I'm just going to go get surgery on it. Right? Because I'm like, oh, PT, I'm going to have to like do the thing. I'm going to do the exercises. I'm going to like whatever. I want the quick fix. Right? And so I feel like, I feel very lucky that I did not actually ever do any kind of quick fix. So, it's like none of that, no elective surgery is like simple or easy or painless, right? It's like fucking major surgery to have your rotator cuff worked on or, whatever. But it's like my brain is always kind of quick to go like, well, what would be the easiest, quickest way to do this? And like, rather than go to months of PT, I would be like, well, let's just slice it open and like do some stuff there, I know. It's like such a different perspective from someone who's a medical professional and knows like the dangers of major surgery, how major of a surgery something like that would be. Like, it's like for people who are not like medically inclined, who don't work in medical and who are just like, oh, I'm in some pain and I want it to go away. And then this Dr. Death shows up and is like, I can make your pain go away. Yeah. I can see why they were like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Like two of the people that died walked into his clinic on their own 2 feet and then became paralyzed and then died, So it's like, I could totally understand the kind of human element of like, I'm in pain. I don't really want to, and I don't know, I don't know all the backstories. Maybe some of those people could have been helped by PT. Maybe some of them could have been helped by some kind of more minimal surgery or something. But I can certainly understand having the option to do something like that and then being like, well, is there like a quicker fix maybe,
Yeah. And I think a lot of these people were probably, or from what I understand from listening, living with chronic pain.
Yes.
And I know in one case for sure doctors had told them no. And so to have a doctor, when you're in chronic pain, to have a doctor now come in and tell you yes is like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So
anyway, the Dr. Death series is incredible. It's on Apple iTunes or whatever. And Wonderly, I think, is the network.
Wondery.
And they're the same people that did
Dirty John.
Dirty John, thank you.
And Heather McDonald podcast is on Wondery as well.
Oh, okay,
Just
cool.
FYI.
Yeah,
it's
so
a good one.
Check out Wondery. And anyway, I loved the narrator's voice. Like, she did a great job. The show was really well produced. It was great.
Yeah, so she's a local Dallas like medical reporter.
Huh.
Yeah, so I think it's cool that Wondery called her and was like, "Oh, hey, we want to report on the story and we want you to do it." Like,
nice.
So she talked in an interview episode that's how that went down, and I was like, "Go Wondery!"
Yeah, that's amazing.
Calling a local reporter to do it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing, this is kind of a weird one where I know exactly. This is one that I think we have a little bit of time for. I heard on the radio today that the Oregonian was running a story about like 5 haunted places in Oregon. And we're into that kind of season. It's October. It's scary season. The weather is changing. It's getting darker. Our hair is getting blonder. That it made me think, first of all.
Your hair is actually kind of odd to me.
It is kind of odd to me. I've got like a peachy thing going on here.
Vitamin C. That's who I was thinking about. As we grow up. We remember.
I know that song. Okay. So anyway, what I'm wondering is, have you ever had a paranormal experience or lived anywhere that you thought was haunted or had any kind of experience with any of that scary stuff?
Well, I mean, kinda.
Yeah.
I have a couple. I don't know which one to tell.
Ooh.
I think probably the best ones for the season. The best one for the season is my friends and I, when I was young, like 8, 9-ish.
Play those games.
We played Bloody Mary. We played light as a feather, stiff as a board, and we played with the Ouija board.
Yeah.
And there were some really scary things that happened during all 3 of them.
Ah! Oh, I couldn't ever do the ones where you had to say the name 3 times, whether it was Bloody Mary or somebody else, because I always thought like saying it in my head would count. I would be so scared. Like, woo!
Yeah, I was terrified. And I do. So I had an experience where I really thought I saw Bloody Mary, and I really actually think it was my imagination. And but during light as a feather, stiff as a board, I swear we lifted my friend with our fingers, and that was terrifying.
Yeah.
And yeah, what was the other one? Oh, Ouija board.
Yeah.
So Ouija board, you never know if somebody's
pushing it. You
pushing
never know,
it.
do you?
Yeah.
Okay, I will tell you that even right now that we're talking about this spooky stuff and we're like in the studio and we've got the bright lights, but it's like all the black cloth around, I'm like, I'm creeped out. I'm a little creeped out. But I lived in a house that absolutely was haunted when I lived in Pittsburgh. And I was thinking about the fact that you didn't know this about me. This is another new thing that Sandy gets to learn about me. I know there are girls that I went to school with that are listening. When all the Delta Zetas that lived at 356 Myron Avenue in South Oakland, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We absolutely the house that we lived in on that street was haunted AF. Ugh.
What kind of stuff
happened? It started with the phone used to ring all the time. Like it was back in the day of landline, and so like no one would, the phone would ring, and you would like run down 3 flights of stairs to get to the phone and pick it up, and there wouldn't be anyone there, and then you'd walk away and you'd go back up 2 flights of stairs, and it would start ringing again. You'd run all the way back downstairs to get the phone, and no one would be there. So like the ringing phone was like a little bit of a thing, and then we did a Ouija board or whatever, and somebody asked if the ringing phone was a spirit in the house, and his head said yes, or what, which of course, like, you never know. And then some of the girls that lived there had boyfriends that like kind of ramped it up for us and like played some tricks on us because they knew we were already scared about living in the place, which was a little scary, which was scary but not true. So I don't have to go into any of that stuff because they were like totally just fucking with us. But then one night I shared a room with like 3 other girls, and one of the girls never stayed there, and Patty, who was one of our super fans, hey Patty, she had a boyfriend named John, and they were staying over. He was staying over one night, and I was like sleeping in my loft bed that was like a foot from the ceiling at the time. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've told you that story.
Did you hit your head?
Well, I couldn't even sit up in this loft bed because like I was so close to the ceiling. I could literally like just climb up the ladder and like roll into this loft bed. Mm-hmm. Okay, so anyway, I was like asleep in my loft bed, and John had come over and spent the night, and he was like, he woke up in the middle of the night and he saw an apparition of a man standing at the end of the bed, and he was like so scared. That's, and he was so like, scary. I'm never spending the night here again. And he never did. I mean, he was like a grown, he was as grown as we could be. He was like in his 20s,
real scary
it was
goosebumps.
Terrifying. I mean, there were a lot of other things that happened in that place, but it was like, oh God. So anyway, I definitely lived in a haunted house we lived there for like 3 years. I mean, I was, thank God, blackout drunk every night. So
well, Well, maybe you had to drink.
I had to drink so I could.
Because you'd be really scared.
I would have been scared. I would have been terrified. So anyway, we lived in a haunted house for a while, but nothing bad happened to us except we got the shit scared out of us pretty regularly.
Yeah,
so
that's scary.
Anyway, it's the season for that. I'm glad to say I do not live. You are looking very scared right now.
Yeah, I don't know why when you described that story with the man at the end of the bed, I think I was like listening too hard and I was too into it, and I just got like that fear you get. But it wasn't even like watching a movie fear. It was like it just happened to me fear.
Yeah.
Ooh,
the good news is that he was at the edge of their bed. I was safe up in my loft bed, and I never saw him. And anyway.
Yeah, that's scary. I don't even know.
It was terrifying. One night I never spent the night there by myself. Absolutely not.
I do remember though when I was scared, because like this is what I really remember about like being fearful like I am now, and being getting in bed, and you like run past the window and you jump in bed and you pull the covers up over, and it's like you have that like horrible like that fear. And I remember the way that I dealt with the fear, because I couldn't actually allow myself to be afraid. That's very uncomfortable. I'd be like, I'm gonna tell that fucking ghost. I'm gonna tell that motherfucking ghost what he can fucking do, and I will fuck you up. I'm gonna fuck you up, ghost.
When Sandy's done with the ghost, she's gonna be able to get a face tattoo.
So I basically like had to like beef with the ghost in order to be able to fall asleep at night.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, this is really cute. I love that. Well, I think it's time for us to move into our main topic for the evening.
Main topic.
Hey. Main topic
Rhymes
tonight.
with hot pocket.
Hot pocket. Pockets.
I think it's hot pocket.
We'll be going on tour next fall. You can catch us. That would be amazing.
You can catch our hot pockets.
Catch our hot pockets. Hey. Well, we got hot pockets if you refer to butts as if pockets are butts.
Let's just stop talking about our hot pockets. Move on to overcommitment.
Our main topic tonight is about being overcommitted. This is one that is near and dear to both of our hearts.
Oh my god, I'm so overcommitted.
So overcommitted. So, have you any thoughts on being overcommitted? I have a couple things that we can kick off the discussion.
No, I'll let you get started. I'll say though quickly that I'm not that overcommitted in the past month and a half, because I've taken some action. So let's first talk about overcommitment,
and then about
I'll
action.
brag, and then I'll brag.
Yes. Well, it's interesting. Would you be willing to talk a little bit about the setup of why we're talking overcommitment and like what action you took 6 weeks ago?
Well, I guess, gosh, I don't know if I'm not prepared. So I guess like what happened with me, and I think what happened with you. And I hate to always go back to recovery, but the way that it worked for me in sequence was I got sober, my life got really big.
Yeah.
Basically, I suddenly started having all these opportunities in my life that I always wanted, and neither was too drunk, too shut down, too isolated, too hungover. To do, and all these opportunities were coming, and I want to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. I really want to do all the things. I still want to do all the things.
Totally agree.
But for the first time in my life, the opportunity to do all the things was coming my way.
Yeah.
And there's also things on top of that I have to do. I have to show up to work.
Right.
I have to show up to raise my kid. I have to show up for my recovery. I have to show up for my body and my health and my fitness. Yeah. And I have to show up now for my husband.
Yeah.
So on top of all the things I want to do, now I have a handful of things that I have to show up for.
Yeah.
And so what my life looked like for a handful of years is I'm busy every fucking night.
Every night of the week.
Every night of the week. My schedule's booked out, and if one thing gets like canceled or rescheduled, then I'm canceling or rescheduling, moving around three other things.
There's no shifting stuff around for me. I feel like, no, if you cancel, we're not rescheduling, because I'm not going to move the 75 other pieces of the schedule to fit you back in another place where you can cancel on me again 10 days from now.
Yeah, or I would try. So yeah, and so or trying to move around and shift around these other things that I think are important, or deciding to skip one but then trying to make up for it, and then we could talk about balance, because I always for a while there I thought that the ideal was balance. I now know different.
Oh.
I don't think that there is any such thing as balance.
Yeah.
I think stuff happens in cycles, and we follow our we follow our bliss. And when you follow your bliss, it's not going to be incredibly balanced.
Right.
But it might look like I'm training for a race, so I'm working out a lot more, and I'm doing my recovery stuff less.
Yeah.
Or I'm training for a race, so I'm not able to
So
spend
like
as
ebbs
much
and flows.
Yeah,
in
ebbs and
different
flows.
areas. Yeah.
And stuff shifts and fills in gaps and shifts and fills in gaps. And that's actually, I think, way more incredibly realistic.
Yeah, I agree. Completely
than
agree.
having this like ideal of balance
Of everything in
and I've known that for a while.
Yeah, that's
But
smart.
I've still found myself just too busy, too many things packed in the week, and then the stress that comes is when somebody tries to reschedule or when I'm just tired.
Yeah.
And I don't have the energy to give to who gets me at the very end of the day.
Yeah.
Is my husband.
Yeah.
After all is said and done, after I've met all my commitments, I roll in at 9:30 and that's what he gets.
Yeah.
And then so we took off to New Mexico and we got married, and I came back and I was like, fucking like refreshed for the first time, because I had 2 weeks away from all of the commitments.
All the commitments. Recovery commitments, work commitments, workout commitments, all that stuff. Yeah.
All of it. And it was so crystal clear what was important to me right now, not forever, you know? And so what I did was I broke a regular engagement for running. And what else did I do? There was another friend who I had a weekly commitment with. I just said I can't do it right now. And I had committed that I'll do my regular commitment on Tuesday night, my regular commitment on Wednesday night, which is podcasting. And that's all. Yeah. Those are my evening commitments, and that's it. Everything else is like I'm committed to being present for Joey, doing the things that show him that I love him, and I'm interested in him. Boo, I'm interested in you, I swear. Hey. I know it doesn't seem that way when I roll in at 9:30 and I'm tired as fuck, but I'm interested in you. And then, you know, focusing on just taking care of my fitness, because what I realized is, you know what I really like the most is running. And I'm really enjoying going to yoga. Like, I like that. That's me. Yeah. Sandy likes to cook and Sandy likes to work out. Yeah. And so I've brought it down to what Sandy likes to do. Yeah. And it's not forever, because the downside of it is I don't think I'm isolating, but it feels like I'm isolating a little bit. Yeah. I thank you for sharing the whole adventure, the whole journey. No, I'm really glad that you did that. I felt like I put you on the spot a little bit by asking you to. Sorry about that. But I didn't really know what you wanted, but you got it all. I got it all, and is that okay? Exactly what I wanted. Are you sure? Did I say too much? No. Okay. Now I have to drink my. I have to drink my DC now. No, it was perfect, because it really crystallizes exactly the point of the conversation. I mean, it dovetails, of course, with the concept of recovery that we're always talking about, and of course, it dovetails with the idea of self-care that we're always talking about. Love you. Just burped in your ears, listeners. It was a very quiet, delicate. Yeah. So Mark's like, could you please stop announcing it when you do it? I could probably just get rid of it. It was like a rose gold burp. Rose gold burp. Beautiful. So anyway, what I really appreciate the idea of talking about things kind of ebbing and flowing, and I also like that that you took a minute to figure out like, what do you like to do, because really it completely resonates with me, this idea of like getting sober, and then my life gets bigger, and then all of a sudden I get all these things that I've always wanted to do, so I like try this, and before I know it, I've tried all these things, and then I've actually accidentally committed to them, and now they're like part of my regular schedule, and I don't even know if I really like them. Or my likes, my tastes have changed over the years. Yeah, do you even know what you like? I know, right? I always have to start with that, because, honestly, I can get so wound up. I know that I'm an extrovert, and so I do like the energy that I get from being around other people. But, and so I have often thought like, oh, that means that I like having my schedule planned to the 15-minute mark from 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. And that actually I'm learning is not true. Yeah. That I can be an extrovert without scheduling myself all damn day from 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. Yeah, because that's part of what was killing me, is having one thing after the next, because the minute one thing gets off, now I've induced stress into my life, because I have so much relying on this one thing. Ending on time, going smoothly. Yeah. So to now, when I'm packed up like that, I'm like, ooh, I don't like this. I don't want this. This is not what I want. So it's very apparent to me. Whereas I think what you're describing is when you just get so used to doing it. Yes. It's not apparent. Right. Yeah. And really, I mean, I don't think it even really crossed my, it doesn't cross my radar until exactly what you said. I get so tired that I'm like, oh my God, I could sleep for a fucking week. I'm exhausted. Or like that somebody around me who doesn't have commitments like that is like, what? You do all that? How do you do all that stuff? I go home after work and like go to bed or whatever, you know what I mean? Or like go home and watch TV. And I'm like,
what? No, that's not an option for me.
Yeah.
You know, or I realize that I don't get to spend any time with my husband, and that when I do, I'm like so fried that I'm like, can we just watch TV? Like, I don't have any bandwidth left for the man that I love.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh shit, I gotta slash and burn some shit for my life.
You mean the man you're interested in?
Man, I'm interested in.
Just kidding. We're interested.
We're interested.
We're a little bit interested.
But it is hard to, I don't know, it's hard for me to sometimes find some willingness to cut that stuff out. Now, one of the things I recently cut out was my job.
Fucking bitch. No.
I know, I felt so bad today. Today I woke up, I took the dog to the dog park, I went to noon yoga, I went and got a manicure.
PSA, all gold listeners, we all understand that not everybody is able to cut out their job.
That's right. You shouldn't cut out your job.
Well,
unless you can.
There are
I don't
people
know.
that should.
Maybe you could.
But probably most of you shouldn't.
Yeah. And the other thing, but I was thinking about, you know, kind of really, and you already said it, so I just will say it another way, or which is just like when I am working full time, you know, I'm also like working out a lot too, although I'm not trained for a race or anything, but fitness is important to me. It makes me feel good. So when I'm working out and working full time, I really only have time for like 2 nights, 2 commitments. And one of the things that's been great is like making podcasts the Wednesday night commitment and like really being able to go like, no, this stays here. That's something that's new for me, being able to really commit to doing this time, this day every week and not trying to move it around. Cause I do that. I have done that to you for a couple of times since we started.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, can we move this or can we do this here or whatever? And it's
Yeah.
like, it has felt really good in the last couple of weeks to just be like, no, this is where it stays. This is a permanent block on the calendar. Sorry about it. Nothing moves this around.
Well, yeah, but we don't want to be like totally inflexible. I mean,
No.
there's legit stuff that might come up, and we can move it around. Especially now that I've loosened up my dance card. Just saying, dance card loosened.
So anyway, I don't know if I have necessarily any advice for anyone that's overcommitted, but I don't know if you're like run ragged and you're overworked and you're overcommitted. The first thing I would do is sit down and ask myself, like, what do I like doing? What do I want to do with my time? Because we only get so much of it.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm like, what am I trying to do? I mean, for me, it's like, you know, what am I trying to do? And I had this ideal, like, and this is something that I haven't even talked to you about, but I when I was drinking, I was so lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had this, I wanted true friendships. I wanted true relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And since I got sober, I have been chasing this ideal of like what that looked like, and it basically comes down to what being popular looks like. And that drives, because I had this idea that I had to have X amount of people at my wedding. I have to have X amount of people at my funeral. And that was this weird like external motivator I had.
Yeah.
And what it came down to, and I think that my wedding helped solidify this when everything happened and went down the way it did. And I realized like, oh my God, that wasn't true, because like, look what we just did. And it's not true. And so that is like this story I'm telling myself that isn't real, that is driving my behaviors on a daily basis.
Yeah.
To continue these commitments with all these people because I need them to show up at my fucking funeral.
Right.
No, I don't fucking need you at my funeral.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I mean, I'll be there.
Oh yeah. Well, you don't have to be.
But I want to.
I'll be dead.
I know. Ah!
I'll be like, bear.
You'll be dead by a bear. Oh my God, no. Please, God, no.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I won't be dead by elective surgery.
Ugh.
I'd much rather be dead by a bear. Yeah, so for me it was like it was this revelation, because like I do think I know myself. I do think I know myself really well, and I do think I know what I want. But to have revealed to me that I had like this underlying external motivator that actually was not in alignment with what's real for me today, it really freed me. So it really took away the fear with telling 2 women in my life that no, I cannot continue to meet you on a weekly basis. And you know what? I'll send them an invitation to my funeral. We'll see if they show up. I don't know.
Well, what I like about it is like really what it's just hearing you talk about that reminded me that like one of the things too is that when I'm scheduled like that, stacked up back to back to back to back or whatever, I really don't have, even though I'm meeting someone on a regular basis, say I have like a weekly coffee date with, Marissa or something, and say I'm meeting her every week, but my schedule is so jammed, I'm just like, I'm not really present for that meeting. Yeah.
If they're friends, they'll understand that you need some time for yourself.
Yeah. I do not have a listener question for us this week. Have you?
No, it hasn't even crossed my radar.
I do have one from a couple weeks ago that I sent you.
Yes.
Do you want to do that one?
I do, although it was hard. You sent it to me, and I briefly pondered on it, and I didn't have any. I don't know. I'm curious what your take on it was. I'd love to hear what you think about it, because it was a stumpifier for me.
I didn't read it that closely when I sent it to you, so now I'm like, oh, how hard is it? Okay, here we go. Let's see.
But I haven't been a parent in like forever.
Okay, this is from one of our longtime listeners, super fans, Whitney. Hey, Whit.
Hey, Whit. No timers with you, girl.
No timers with Whitney.
Sorry.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to think about if the person, right now I'm currently using a timer for one person, and I hope she's not listening.
I hope she is. You know what? Whoever you are, I hope you're listening. And I hope you give Heidi hell. I like how deep my voice got.
Oh, it was good. It was like you were going to battle with a ghost.
It's my track coach voice.
It's Sandy Ghostbuster voice. It's Ghostbuster
like
Sandy.
Like track coach. I give him hell.
Okay, so our dear friend, longtime listener Whitney just had a baby recently. She said,
"Congratulations!
I am creating a memory book for the baby. I write an entry in it every day about current events, prices of things." Oh, that's funny. Memories.
Please don't write about current events.
I
right
know.
now.
I'm
Just
like,
redact.
Oh, already
redact.
has some thoughts about this. Current events, prices of things, memories, lessons, etc. So the question: when you are 70, what do you think children and young adults will ask you to tell stories about?
I know that Kyla will ask me to tell her about when Tupac was shot.
Oh yeah,
she's gonna want to know about the East Coast West Coast rivalry for sure.
Yes, that's a good go-to. I feel like a kind of easy. This is a softball one, but I feel like when we're 70, people will always want to know about like what it was like to have a landline, or like technology stuff. What was it like to have a TV where you had to turn the dial, or like?
Oh, I could tell my Sandy with a landline story.
You could tell your Sandy with a landline story. What would it be? What was it like when TV actually went off the air before it was 24-hour news cycle and there were like the color bars and stuff? What was it like? So like I feel like technology questions is not even really fair.
What was it like when you actually had to do math?
Yeah.
And look shit up in books?
There you go. Or what was it like when you lived on Earth?
I will be so supreme.
We might be living on Mars at that stage. What was it like when you lived on Earth?
No, we're not going.
Oh, we're not going. What was it like? Another one would be maybe like, what was it like before you could just teleport everywhere?
When you had to drive?
Yeah. Or what was it like when you had to drive yourself? Because self-driving cars are on the way. So
what was it like when people were being massacred on the roads on the regular?
Oh.
Like, yeah, it was bloody. I did work in a trauma ICU during that time.
You did.
I hope they get asked that, and they're like, because there's no bloody trauma accidents
Yeah,
anymore.
that would be great. So I feel like there are a number of questions that could be related to advancements in technology, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that was fun to talk about. I don't think it was too easy.
Yeah. No, that was a good one. I'm trying to think if there's any other kind of areas of questions or areas of answers like that where things will be like so different.
Yeah, it's just hard not to go dark on this just because of the current political climate and how people aren't going to be allowed to be people anymore. And
what was it like when you could have access to Plan B?
Yeah, like what was it like when it was okay to be gay?
Yeah.
So
yeah, we can move away from the dark stuff. We don't have to go there. We can just
and let's choose to have hope, and then when we're 70, all this will just be but a memory, just
a blip,
but just a bad dream.
You know what? It can all be a blip on the radar if you vote in the midterm elections and if you vote in the 2020 elections.
Give them hell.
Yes. I love it. Well, we're going to wrap it up for tonight. This has been an amazing adventure. Our first experience on the YouTube platform.
I'm so scared to see this. I do not want to see this.
I don't know that I'll watch it because I feel like my hand motions are a little out there. I feel like I'm very close to the microphone, like I might be eating it like a snack. It's green, so who knows what Mark could green screen. Could you make like one of those gold flowers on the end of my microphone? No, that's a hard pass.
He made the same look that I made when you told me you timed your interactions.
I'm so embarrassed now. Oh my God.
No.
No, you guys love me. You love me. I mean, that's the thing is that I can tell you something embarrassing like that and you love me anyway.
I love you.
I love you.
Not even I love you anyway. Just I love you.
I love you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you. We are going to be signing off. We are sending lots of love, light, and gold from Portland, and we want you to
stay vigilant.
Give them hell.